If they do not respect themselves, they cannot respect you. Let me repeat that one more time for the ones in the back, the ones in the rafters. If they do not respect themselves, it is impossible for them to respect you. Now, this doesn't just go for self-respect, but the reason that I chose self-respect is because it is foundational. If an individual is going to have any sort of functional relationship, they must first have an ability to respect another individual. That's every relationship dynamic. I'm not just talking about the intimate boo and bae and bestie. I'm talking about familiar relationships. I'm talking about coworkers and peers, this, that, and the third. In order for us to have genuinely harmonious relationships, not the pretend ones, not the people-pleasing relationships that we used to have, right? When we were just putting on a mask and showing up in any way that anybody wanted us to. I'm talking about when you start to show up authentically in your life. The only way that you can genuinely have that sort of relationship dynamic with somebody, when y'all connect at a real level, is if you are able to respect that individual. And that's why, we live in this culture where there's a lot of disrespect. There are a lot of people who can't even have somebody in their presence who does not agree with them on, God forbid, politics or, some sort of ideology or philosophy. Just because y'all don't agree on what you believe does not mean you can't have respect for one another. But when you do not have respect for yourself, it is impossible. Let me sip my tea before I get into this because I'm about to be wavering this joint around for no reason. Shout out to, who is that? Yogi and Bigelow. I got two things in there. Extra strong. If you do not respect yourself, you cannot respect another. And when we find ourselves in relationship dynamics where we are desiring for somebody to simply show up in a place of respect, right? We just want to be appreciated. We just want to be valued. We want to be seen. We want to be acknowledged. We're really setting ourselves up for disappointment in most cases, because first and foremost, we're supposed to be giving ourselves these very things, right? That's where I should have started off. But I've done a multitude of content just on that. Maybe 100 videos have this exact message, and maybe I need 100 more. But we must first cultivate these aspects of ourselves. Instead of looking and scouring and searching the world for somebody to appreciate us, we have to cultivate a level of self-appreciation. We must be able to self-validate in order for us to even receive the validation of others, right? Like, that's one point I don't really even get into, is you can't even receive somebody's love if you don't love yourself, right? Let alone give that love. You can't receive a compliment if you do not believe that you are worthy to be complimented. So we want somebody to appreciate us, yet we can't even take the compliment. But that's a story for a whole nother time. A whole nother time. But for right now, I want to fixate on this one idea. Self-respect is crucial in a healthy relationship dynamic. So much so to self-respect is actually at the core, at the foundation, because without respect, there is no relationship. It's as same as trust. Without trust, there is no relationship, and trust and respect coincide. They're damn near Siamese twins, joined at the hip. Because when you are respectful of yourself, you will do things for yourself that are fruits of that respect. For example, I respect my body, so I put the best fuel into my body. I take care of my body, and therefore, I trust myself to take care of myself. I don't have the dissonance when it comes to trusting myself in respect to my body. But when I do not respect myself and I do not take care of my body, I can never trust that I'm going to be taken care of. When I respect myself enough to only engage in and entertain those relationships that are going to be fruitful, that are not going to destroy or belittle my good, but instead edify and add to, I will step away from the relationships that do not resemble my level of self-respect. If there was infidelity in a relationship, I would simply leave. I'm not going to yell and fight and try to change things. I'm not going to try, I'm not going to struggle my way to a change. Instead, I'm going to see the situation as it is, which is, okay, this individual obviously doesn't have the ability to respect our relationship, so I will move forward. That is self-respect in play, and self-respect is interlinked with trust. Again, I can trust myself to make the best decision for myself. But when we go through life as, the man who was roaming through the desert, dying of thirst, and all of a sudden he saw somebody coming to him, and he started to beg them for water and plead for just a drop of water, just to sustain one more moment of life. What that man failed to recognize was that it did not matter how desperate he was for that water. It did not matter how much he desired. It did not matter how much he quenched for that water. So long as the one who was approaching did not have water on them to give, he was going to die of thirst. And that's how many of us are living within our relationship dynamics. We are asking things of people that they do not have to give, period. They don't have it. They don't have the love to give you. Maybe they actually have the deepest desire to love you all they can, but they simply don't have it. Now, I'm not saying that they never will, because there was a point in our journey when we didn't have it. Maybe you're in a place right now where you just don't have it. That's okay. This isn't a demonization of the individual. It's simply to acknowledge that you just ain't got what you ain't got. I can't sip on the tea that I don't have. Sips tea. I can't do it. I cannot give you a sip of my tea if I don't have it. I know this seems like such a simple concept, but it's really something I've just felt the need. I almost recorded this video 3 different times, looking to really articulate this message in this way. And I finally said, you know what, forget it. Like, just put it out the way it needs to be, put out raw. I'm doing my best not to just, fill things up with big words that sugarcoat things, and just tell y'all straight up is that you are wasting your time in most of these relationships. And I'm an advocate of healthy relationship dynamics. I'm not telling you, oh, you need to leave your partner, you need a divorce, you don't need no man, you don't need no woman. I'm not that guy. Yes, it is true that you don't need another human being to sustain yourself, but, relationships are a beautiful thing. They are a gift. And we should definitely look to, to connect ourselves with those who are elevating themselves and create healthy, sustainable, functional households. I wholeheartedly believe in that. But I'd be lying to you if I told you that relationship that you placed yourself in based upon your own unresolved trauma, that you're going to get your quote unquote needs met within that relationship. Most of us are looking for mama and papa within our relationships. We're looking for mommy and daddy. And, first thing is we will never find mommy and daddy. And second thing is we never needed mommy and daddy in the way that we thought we did, which sounds crazy. That sounds radical, but it is the truth. Yes, in our youngest stages of life, right? You needed the sustenance, you needed the provision, etc. But there came a point where you finally took your power back, your autonomy. You started to move through life for yourself. Yet we clung onto so much of that perceived need for our parental system. And when there was a deficit, that memory sticks, and we carry that memory with us, and we call that memory trauma. And that trauma begins to affect every other aspect of our lives. And we continue to perpetuate the very same cycle over and over and over again. And we promise that we will never be like our parents, and then we end up being exactly like our parents. Not because we are doomed to our environment, but instead because we are not willing to accept the responsibility over our own lives, to say that I must first meet that need that I believe somebody else must meet. I must first acknowledge myself in order for me to move through life in a way where I can even receive acknowledgement. I must first learn to respect myself. And that means in all ways, because, we are a generation that's become allergic to peanut butter, to pollen, and to responsibility. Peanut butter, pollen, and responsibility. We absolutely despise it. We believe that to take responsibility is to lose something, when in truth it is the greatest reclaiming of your power that any of us can engage in. It's the only way to take your power back. And yet for most of us, we would rather not. We would rather push it off on somebody else. We would rather make it somebody else's responsibility to give us fill in the blank, whatever it is, right? And again, I know those voices in your head, the ones that have been conditioned into you to say, well, somebody needs to do X, Y, and Z in order for me to feel this type of way. They need to see me. They need to. I'm telling you right now, you can have the whole world see you. Michael Jackson was a man who was seen by the whole world, and yet that man was traumatized. And he spewed that trauma onto others. Freddie Mercury, Elton John, surrounded by people, and yet they felt isolated, an island amongst a world filled with people who adored them. Think about that. And you think that that person in that relationship is going to fulfill. It's no wonder why you have this revolving door of relationships. It's no wonder why. It's no wonder why I had the revolving door of relationships, because I was looking for something in them when the thing that I needed was within me. And the only way that it could actually show up and manifest in my relationship is when I cultivated it within myself. Ain't that funny how that works? It sounds so backwards, Let me put this damn tea down. I keep exchanging hands with the tea to the tea like I'm finna do something with it. We continue to place the responsibility for our own lives onto others, and we wonder why we feel so disempowered, because there is no empowerment in that.
I used to be afraid of the dark, a place unknown like a hardening heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3, 6, 5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up.